now
Oh, cool.
chatting. So I'm just gonna welcome everybody again, guys. What's going on? We're streaming. We're live. Boston. I hope you're coming through okay. Everything's well, audio wise and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic. Um, we're back with episode two. Second time we're going to interview and chat with our friend Boston Bear. He's been absolutely. He was like it was a great interview last time we chatted. Really organic, really authentic. Um, Now I'm just gonna get some stuff sorted here because hold on a minute, bear with
Yeah,
me.
take your time. Yeah, I really enjoyed the chat last time too. And I don't know if you were already streaming, but I was like getting my face all cleaned up because I just had a 90-minute massage, recovery massage post Boston, and had my eyes shut for 90 minutes. So I'm just getting clear for y'all.
Oh no, that's awesome, dude. Okay, so I'm there, and I'm gonna flip over to. Let me think. All right, I think this will be good enough. Yeah, you see me good, right?
Oh, yeah. I can hear
Awesome.
you and see you well.
All right, cool. So Boston, how did the marathon go, JT?
Well, the marathon itself, we'll definitely get into. The whole entire trip was special and unique. I mean, it was my 11th one in a row. The bombing year was my first year, as I said in the last episode. And my wife has come to two of my marathons, one with the kids and one just her as a spectator and kind of like cheer support. She always says, like, Sherpa, where she carries extra stuff and just kind of dotes on me and takes care of me. But this time she came as an athlete. So, after 10 years of trying to qualify and finally qualifying at Houston last year, she ran a 3:25, which is her fastest marathon to date. She qualified and was able to go and participate with me. And just the whole packing experience, knowing that we were both going to do the same event was epic. And yeah, I loved that we got to do this together and share the experience.
Nice. That's awesome. So you guys were able to obviously engage in it together and
Hmm.
really hone in on that aspect of things and chat, or not chat, sorry, experience it together as a couple. Because again,
Yeah.
you mentioned that your in-laws had watched the kids and everything while you guys were gone, right? That's awesome,
Yeah,
dude.
her parents came in and they built like they bought the kids a pretty big playground from Sam's, and some of my other buddies came over and they hung out and put it together. So they got a new playground. We went and played at Boston, and I actually reached out to a local news guy here just because he's followed me through track, and I ran cross country in college, so he's followed me my running career for like 20 plus years. And I said, hey, uh, I don't know what your schedule looks like. I don't know what you're looking for, if you're looking for any kind of story, but Becky and I are going to Boston, and explain what we just talked about. I
That
said it's going to
link.
be her first one after 10 years of trying to qualify. And it's my 11th, and he's like, oh, no, no, yeah, answer these questions. And he gave a bunch of questions to me, a bunch to her, and we answered them as we drove up to Dallas. And it took a while, but we formulated everything that he wanted to know, and he made a really cool article. So the locals are just like asking her at work and me, like, "Oh, I saw you in the paper." It's really neat since I'm from a small town.
That's fantastic, dude. I think the big thing that I really absolutely love about it is just the organic aspect. You know, like, and that's what really tickles my fancy. Ha! Is being
Hmm.
able to engage in the chat, the discussion with you, right? The
Yeah.
and just explore things from just like the take it as it comes, right? No
Yeah.
stress, just it is what it is. Engage it as it comes. So how did the staging? Because you mentioned that there was staging in terms of the start.
Yeah, so what's really neat about this year, and I don't know if y'all know about Boston, but there's a subway network called the T, and there's a green line and an orange line and a red line, and they just kind of figure out. And I always usually stay on the green line. This specific year, we are at Coolidge Corner, which is about the end of one of the fingers of the green line, and I didn't know it was on the course because I always would just we just get Airbnbs every year, and we would take an Uber to a Dunkin' Donuts, which
Okay.
is 4 miles from the finish. So the day before the race, it's just tradition to get out to that Dunkin' Donuts with one, two, or three friends and just jog it in easy to kind of see what we're going to see the next day,
Right.
shake the body out.
Set the stage, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. Because visualization is a huge part of distance running. And
Massive.
if you can think about it and think it through and say like, okay, tomorrow I'm going to be here. And when you get there the next day, you're like, okay, now I know what to expect.
Yep.
What was cool
You
is,
make the, and again, I just want to take that for a quick sec, right? You
yeah,
take the scene and you make it yours by taking it in ahead of time. Early bird gets the worm. Please go ahead.
oh, exactly. What I didn't know, what I didn't really realize was just leaving our Airbnb and going just a block away. I jumped on the train and I was able to ride the train up a few stops and just run it in. So it didn't cost us an extra Uber. Just getting there and laying everything out. So what we did, we flew from Dallas to Boston, and then we went and dropped all our stuff off at the Airbnb. And this was Saturday, and came back into town. Did the expo thing. It's huge. Adidas is the main sponsor, so she got her Adidas jacket, and we got to look at all the stuff. We got our bib, and went back and did some chilling. That made it so that Sunday was all about kind of resting and staying off our feet. So we did get out and about. We picked up some really good sushi, a couple rainbow rolls. We also picked up a huge pizza. It was a margarita pizza with chicken. And man, Boston just makes some of the best wood fire double crust to get the extra carbs.
Wait. Pump the brakes. Park the car. Stop it.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me you're doing like are you doing a thin crust at least, or are you doing a full-fledged crust the night before a marathon, bro? Like pizza. Like, aren't we doing like cauliflower crust or something, like gluten-free?
No, regular crust, lots of carbs. But this is lunch, so lunch you can kind of go big. The sushi, rice and rainbow rolls, and we got 3 rolls and split the 3 rolls between us. And actually, I picked up a bagel because, like, the unique thing about Boston is the pros don't start until 10 a.m. And they have to bus like somewhere between 26,000 and 34,000, depending on the year. They have to bus. And when I say this, I'm talking about yellow school buses from Boston all the way out to Hopkinton. So it's a one-way trip back. You run 26.2 back to the Boston Commons area. Yeah, it takes an hour too. Once you get on that bus, you got an hour to ride out there. So I picked up my breakfast also, which was a bagel, egg, and cheese sandwich, big guy. And so when you wake up at 4 a.m. and you start drinking liquids and getting all your stuff going, you can eat a full breakfast because you've got 5 hours before you start. And that's always been my go-to to make sure you get energy on board. So we were all set with food, and we got our bib, and we were all set on Sunday just to relax. Now we had to part ways Monday race day because my bus was at 6:45 and hers was at 7:45 because I started at 10 and she started at 10:50. So we said our goodbyes, and I took off and just wished her luck and did my whole thing, and she did her thing.
All right, so there was a 50-minute spread between your start times. So again, you started at 10, she started at 10:50.
That's right.
Okay, so then your arrival would have been staggered as well, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So
if I get on the bus at 6:45 or let's say 7, I get to the village. They call it Athletes Village at 8 a.m. And I've got 2 hours to do not much. So they have the big like circus tent, like a humongous circus tent, just to keep like if it's raining, because there definitely have been rainy years, which this one was. But I always post up under the tent, and I always bring a shower curtain from Walmart, like a $3 or $4 shower curtain, a clear one, because like a liner, because you can like flip it out, and you've got a dry spot for 3 or 4 people on the grass, because the grass, has dew from the night before.
You'll soak your butt.
Yeah, sometimes it turns into a mud pit, and we just get to do some chilling and talking with people from all over the country. There's a couple guys right next to us from Sweden, and it's like, hey, coming on over doing Boston and hearing their story.
So the chats pre-race, How did they go?
Yeah,
Any
it's good.
anything
You know,
piqued your interest, or did anything good come out of those pre-race chats?
well, I did just out of curiosity, I was like to these Swedish guys, it's like, hey, quick question. No, this is off topic. In your country, do you think that the Earth is a flat, extended plane,
No,
or
you
do you think it's a?
didn't.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
This guy's
I was like,
dropping
because
it pre-race.
some Brazil, millions of true earthers, people that know what's up. And I was just saying, like, hey, you're coming from a different part of the plane.
Right.
What do you think it is? He
What do you
goes, of
think?
course, it's a ball. It's a ball. And what's funny about him was, and I don't want to say too much because we're on YouTube,
Right.
he works for, Big Pharma, big
Yeah.
time.
He's in the
And he
system.
was saying, he was like, man, if people would just exercise and get outside and eat clean food and drink clean water and exercise, they can heal themselves from anything. But, he was like, they don't do that. They just take drugs.
Interesting.
And so he was being pretty honest. That's kind of what had me ask the question about the earth, is he
Hmm.
was forthcoming with information about the industry he was in. He was making it blatantly obvious that anyone can be healthy, moving their body, and he basically was describing terrain theory, and I was like, wow. So then I was like, okay, here's a curveball for you.
Okay.
But they didn't laugh at me. They just said, I've never heard of that. And so I didn't, obviously I didn't push it. I just said, okay, just curious, because some people are waking up these days about what we really live on. So don't discount it. Don't laugh at somebody if you hear about it soon. He goes, I won't. You're the first person. I'll remember this day. You're the first person to tell me about this. And so
That's what
hopefully
I'm
he'll hear
talking
soon.
about. And then under your breath, you're like, "See my back? Take a good look at it, because you'd be looking at it for the next 3 hours, baby."
you know, maybe with those guys, yes. But here's another. Yeah, there was a standout story. So um, I was walking up to the buses to catch the ride, and I saw a dude in some sweatpants, or like night pants, you know what I mean, like flannel. And
Bro.
I thought, man, those are great. I was like, those are great pants, because everybody wears throwaway clothes because it's cold, and you donate. Everybody donates their whole outfit that they were staying warm in to charity or
Okay.
just to whoever needs it. And he also was a redhead dude, and my middle son is redheaded, so I was like, oh, you got the great pants on. I love your hair, man. My middle kid's a redhead. He goes, yeah, yeah. And I said, oh, you got blue eyes too, because my son does too. And so red hair and blue eyes are the rarest combo on earth.
Okay.
Like, there's, as far as human beings go with combinations, they're the rarest. They have a high pain tolerance, like way more than average. They
Really?
bruise easily. Yeah.
Okay.
And so he and I talked about that for a second. And we were chatting it up, and he was going for a 235, and this is his first
Come
second
on,
Boston. Yeah, that's
bro.
really quick, really quick.
Seriously. And
And
this
we
was
sat
his
by each
helmet.
other.
Sorry, I
What?
you mentioned it. I apologize. How many Boston's has he done?
I think this was his second.
Okay.
Yep. So, we sat by each other and did the whole normal stuff, talking about different things, and then we went into, somehow. I mean, I just say it's a God thing. Just kind of a faith component. I don't know. It organically, like you said, it just started going into being thankful.
Best conversations ever.
Walking in gratitude, and come to find out, he absolutely lives for Christ, and it's just super important, in his walk. And he was talking to me about, because he was 22, so a young guy, and I'm going to be 43, so I had
Yep.
over 20 years on him.
Yep.
But our spirits were exactly the same age. We were like brothers. There was no difference really. And he wasn't like dropping the Sir bomb on me or anything. Some people do that. We were just chilling
Yeah,
and
that gets
hanging.
kind of rough, huh? Like,
Yeah, right.
Mr. Weeks, listen, sir, can I
Yeah.
help you? Listen.
But we were talking about relationships, and he's got a girlfriend, and Becky and I really have a heart for talking to people about marriage, and we kind of want to one day be in, if things work out, anyone interested in marriage or having problems in their marriage, like some sort of counseling or
Yeah,
just
couples
hanging
counseling.
out,
Yeah.
loving on them, because
Yeah.
that's where we're drawn. So it really worked out with that guy, just to encourage him to be the spiritual leader and to just follow the path God has for him. And I think he ended up running a 2:36 or 2:37. So it's pretty
Bruh.
close to his goal. Just like I
2
wanted a
minutes, like,
250.
okay, so let me ask you a
Yeah,
question. when
yeah.
when someone's like, all right, I'm going for a 235, right, and they knock out a 237. Have you
Mhm.
seen some guys 2 minutes off their own self-established pace just like have an absolute meltdown when they get that number, or they're like, that's cool, I can respect that? Because that's like less than a percent, right? 2 minutes over 150 minutes. That's two divided by
Yeah.
150, bro. That's pretty damn good. That's
It's
like,
not much. I mean, if some people, if they don't PR every time or if they don't hit their goal, they kind of melt down or freak out. Most are happy with a good strong finish. Like for me, I wanted to break 250, but I did a 250 220, and that's fine. I mean, it was like
again,
57
but hold
seconds.
on. We haven't gotten to your time yet. There's
Yeah,
a lot of like stuff we have to cover in between that. So now
sure.
that we've talked about the aspect of the pre-race and the conversations, and I'm proud of you for dropping the flat bomb and having an organic conversation about God and Christ. It's a good thing.
Sure. Yeah.
So, starting pistol goes, right?
Yeah, well,
Or don't,
I'll
sorry, the lineup happens. Anything crazy happen with the lineup, or did it all go as per plan?
well, what's interesting is the village is point 0.7 miles from the start line. So you've got quite a walk when they say, because it's just a small town and we're at a high school, and you've got to walk over to the main like road that you run all the way in. And it's great though. That's not bad. Just loosen up the joints and get things moving.
You got to
And
be like
so
fit to do this, huh?
pretty much, I mean, point 0.7, it's not even a mile, but it's a good walk. You get to
Yeah.
talk to people. The energy's amping up because basically they're having all the people start moving towards their corral, and it's broken into three waves and usually eight corrals in each wave. So you
Okay.
have wave one, which is the red bibs. Wave two, I think, is blue or white, and then wave three is blue or white. I can't remember. Um, and so yeah, you're just kind of looking around, and they get y'all. And so the bibs and the numbers, like what number you get, is where you fell in the ranking of qualifying. So if you're like bib number 1 through 10, you were the top 10 fastest times to qualify, and generally a pro. Mine was 2787, so I was 2,787th in the ranking of like the 30,000 something people. And yeah, just walked up to the corral and got ready to, have the Jets fly over and sing the national anthem and get ready to go, man.
Pistol goes.
Yeah, pistol goes, and it immediately starts pretty downhill. Like you're going downhill quick. The first 14 miles are downhill. And then 14 through 21, they call the Newton Hills. And that's where you start actually going up four big hills. It's rolling. But in the first 14 miles, you do have some rollers. So you're going down a ways, and then you'll climb, and then you'll go down, and you'll climb, and you'll do that a bunch. And what Boston does to people is it usually shreds their quads because they're not used to running that long downhill, and it's called eccentric contraction. So not only are you landing each footfall, you're landing like braking yourself or stopping yourself from getting too fast out of control. You're pushing off also, so that jarring effect makes your muscle like boom, and then you step
Well,
boom.
the
I mean,
quadricep is
literally,
also.
some people by the end, I mean,
Well, I would imagine the quadricep in that position is also a lot more compromised. It's traveling a lot longer than normal because of the extension of the leg, right? So it's a completely different dynamic than running on a
yeah.
treadmill. Like obviously you can change your incline on a treadmill.
Oh,
Anyways,
absolutely. Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense, dude.
Some people stack bricks on the back of their treadmill so that it angles down, and they run like 10, 12, 15 miles on their treadmill with the angle down just to
Okay.
kind of get used to it.
All right.
I just run a lot of uphill and downhill. And yeah, so my day took off, and it's really congested the first 2 miles, 3 miles. You can't hardly get around
I'm so
anybody.
sorry. Quick thing. The
Sure.
weather, because I'd been looking at the weather for the days coming, and yeah, dude, like it was raining. It was like raining in 10 degrees Celsius.
Yeah, it was chilly. Don't know exactly if it was like 40 or 45 when we first got there. I know that it was going to rise up to 55 and higher, but it was chilly. It was overcast. We didn't even have any sun that I can remember. Maybe just little blips of sun, but for the most part, it was all overcast, sprinkly. Not enough rain to soak you, but some drizzle, and then, you know, it was really good weather because it wasn't hot and humid. There was a headwind, slight headwind the whole way since it's just basically a one-way course. Sometimes it'll shift where you got a headwind and it'll really push you into town if it swirls. But um,
And
yeah,
what were
I
you
had
running in?
fun.
Like, what
Me,
gear
I
were
just
you
wear
running in?
tight shorts, like tights that are shorts with little side pockets to hold nutrition, and like a tight top, short sleeve top.
Gotcha. And you're just like straight giving it. Like, let the rain wick off you. There's
Yeah,
no need for wearing rain gear because it's just going to be
no,
additional crap to carry and weigh you down.
yeah. And
Damn,
when you're
homie.
running
Okay.
hard, I generally can run any. It can be raining and 40 degrees, and that's fine as long as I'm pushing the pace because you got the oven going. You're hot.
Yeah.
It really actually feels good at that point. But if it drops down to 35 and raining, I'll definitely need like to add some layers, arm warmers, and such.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. So the pack's thick. First, you said
Oh,
2 miles, was it?
at least 2 to 3
Okay.
miles, you're kind of stumbling around on people because just because they qualified with you or ahead of you, some people don't go to race it. They're there to kind of take their victory lap, and they just want to kind of run easy and look around and enjoy the day. And you got people who are like going after time goals, so you're
Yeah.
dodging and weaving, and everybody's kind of
Well,
stressing.
jockeying for position, right? At the end of the
Yeah.
day.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
We've seen those
The main
bike
thing.
accidents.
Yeah, you don't want to trip and you don't want to trip anybody up. So I
Yeah.
generally run down the sides. I'll kind of merge over and
Okay.
kind of a little bit in the grass, a little bit in the gutter, and just sort of passing people on the right. But it works out because it thins out. I think my first mile was 6:30, which is
So
good.
just to place this and interject in, Kiwi fashion, if I may,
Yeah.
you're
Oh yeah.
gonna the jacked guy that's been lifting weights for the last year is gonna go onto the unbeaten path and beat these guys. I love it.
Man, uh, it was fun, man. All the way to halfway, I was feeling nice and strong. I came through the halfway point, 123 high, so like 123.50 something.
Okay.
So basically, if I was at 125 and I did the second half in 125, that'd be 250.
Exactly.
And I was under a little over a minute, and I thought to myself, okay,
Well, the
so the
123
second,
would have given you a 246, right?
yeah, exactly,
So I
that's
mean,
right.
like, dude, again, remember what I said to you. I wish you all the luck of a 247. So, bro, I'll
I
take
know.
that first half, stick it in my back pocket, and be like, I'll catch you next year for the rear, for
Yeah,
the better second half. Tack it on and get my 247. Keep going. I'm sorry.
yeah, yeah. We'll get there. We'll get there for sure. Um, I did think like, oh man, the second half is really hilly. I don't have much time to lose to stay on pace, but let's just see what I've got. Just tried to stay smooth. Now I will say the cool weather and the water kind of made it harder to have like an open stride and to be nice and loose. It's like people
Cramping,
were
like you were shortening up.
cramping up and yep, staying stiff.
That
A
makes
little bit of
sense.
warmth or a little bit of sunshine will let you really open
Would
up
have
and
helped,
just run
yeah.
smooth. But
Well, things tighten
yeah,
up, dude. Right? You've got fluid inside of you. That fluid's gonna get cold. Your heart's gonna be
yeah,
your body's working to heat up that stuff that you just consumed, so that it could actually make it usable, right? Because we all know if we actually consumed the food at the temperature our body needed it to be, we wouldn't
hmm
necessarily like it as much, right? So the
yeah,
refreshing aspect gets cooked. But bro, so you're working through this slight cramping aspect of things where you can feel your muscles starting to shorten up a bit. So my question at this point
hmm
is, because you're at the halfway point, how are you finding the muscle or the weight training that you were doing affecting you, whereas like last year with weight training with the Boston it
yeah.
wasn't in place? What are you finding at this point?
I found I was dressed like big time. I was like, wow, my feet and ankles are not getting beat up. Calves are fine. Like systems check.
Hmm?
Quads are doing pretty good. Hips, like overall, I felt kind of more bulletproof.
Sick.
Where in years past I felt vulnerable or I felt
Yep.
weak. Like everything was running almost on eggshells, and like, oh, something's about to snap, something's about to hurt.
Yeah.
And to come all the way to now, I ran a mile today, easy, and I feel like I can start training again. Like the resiliency and the bounce back, it's never been this way. Usually, I'm down for a full week or 10 days, just shredded and tore up. So I'm gonna definitely keep with the strength training. And anybody that's even considering even picking up little hand weights or just doing little squats or lunges or anything like that, push-ups, you can do stuff with body weight. Start small, do push-ups on your knees if you can't do a real push-up, and just do 2 or 3 a day. Increase it to 7 or 8 a day, 10 a day, because it will pay off, and you'll be surprised at how quick the momentum switches for you to feel better.
I'm gonna take the opportunity to interject on that. From a standpoint of push-ups in the morning, it's something that I just recently implemented. It's past about a week ago. Hey, and I'm a stickler for making my bed. Right, I make it my own way. Right, but I make my bed. It's ordered when I get out of it. And what I've started doing is, as soon as I got out of bed, I will do 10 push-ups, 10 sit-ups, and that actually will move the blood. That's my actually do 11 to honor the angels, but that's my thing. And I found that the blood starts to move through the muscles a lot quicker. And I actually am more awake when I'm actually making my bed. So it's kind of a short circuit that I've adopted, right, to build that in. And now, touching on the aspect of introducing weight training and things of that nature, I took in a piece this past week where the person talking said that, we've all seen those marathon runners, right? That looks like they'll trip on the crack of the sidewalk and they'll be down, bones cracked because they're so skinny. There's skin and bones, right? And then we've all seen those weight trainers, or there's those guys that spend all the time in the gym lifting weights all day, and they're walking, right? And they're out of breath, right? So there's a lot to be said for the combination of taking on exactly what you're doing. How tall are you?
I'm 6'1".
6'1", right. I remember that. 6'1", 175, 80 pounds?
No, 53, bro.
153, bro. Listen, connotation of what?
It's pretty lean for my height. But I've just weighed this, and I've been like I said in the last podcast, for 25 years. So healthy. But there are dudes at Boston that are jacked, so muscly, and they were ahead of me. It's like cardiovascular fitness and muscular strength. The body comes in all shapes and sizes and abilities, and you'll see that at Boston for sure.
Yeah. I mean, just from a standpoint of adding in weight-bearing exercises to our already in place regime, as you were mentioning, with respects to even small weights, 5-pound weights, push-ups, things of that nature. That's fantastic.
Now, Kiwi, let me ask you, we talked about the Wim Hof method last time, right?
The what? Sorry, I apologize.
The Wim Hof method?
Remind me.
It's the breathing technique that this man named Wim Hof came up with. And you'll have to look it up and try it. It's kind of like hyperventilating, but it's basically like, I can't remember the duration of the breath, but it's like 35 breaths, and then you let all your air out, and you do a hold with no air in for as long as comfortable, and then you take a deep breath, hold that for 8 seconds, and then do another cycle. And usually you can do 4 to 5 cycles of this type breathing. But what's really interesting is I've done during the Wim Hof breathing, when you let all your air out, you do push-ups and you don't breathe and you have air out, and you'll be surprised at how strong you are and how many you can do after hyperventilating and doing this method.
I had this conversation with my coworker. He's recently gotten into weight training, and he was I was telling him the importance of breathing while he's like example on your positive positive movement, right, you're letting your breath out. And he noted when he was bench pressing that when he was breathing out on the positive, that he could actually feel that he felt stronger on the exhale.
Oh yeah.
Because again, you're not supposed to be carrying air in your lungs when your muscles are firing. If your muscles are firing, they're trying to fire around air pockets that you have in your body, and that can create strain, right? And issues within internally, that soft tissue and things of that nature. Anyways, listen, getting back to the marathon. So 50% point, you're feeling good, the body system is in check, though you're tightening up a little bit due to the fluids that you've consumed. Okay, now the pack is thinning out. Right? What's happening?
Run without, all the water stops, which they start at mile 2, and you get a water stop every single mile. Okay. And so there'll be
a big water stop. Tell me about this.
Yeah, so there's a long table of Gatorade and a long table of water on the right. And if you see that, then you always get the same thing mirrored imaged on the left. So they've got 10,000 volunteers to make this event go off, and they're just passing water out like crazy. And I generally run the tangents, which as you're running the course, I look ahead, and if I see that up ahead is a right-hand curve, I'll run the most direct line to that right-hand curve. And as I come around that corner, I'll spot, like, from here to that corner, this is the shortest distance, and try to merge across traffic a little bit.
You're constantly clipping the apex.
Exactly. You will run less distance if you stay. If you
shortest
run the road
line
like
between 2 points is a straight line, right? That's what you're doing. I'm so proud of you, dude. Well done. Geometry while he's running. Well done.
Yeah, I like doing it. And it's funny because I'll see people like, S-curving the whole course, and we'll be running the same exact pace, and I will be getting ahead of them ever so slightly. And I'm like, I'm not running any harder. I'm running shorter, which is funny. So the Newton Hills started, and mile 16 is your first like real tester. It's an overpass, and it's your first time to go up like for a ways. And usually during that, how the rest of the day is going to go. If you have a lot of reserve energy and you're strong, you're going to have a great race. If you're already kind of tanked and you're like, this hill is really tough, then all the hills are going to be really tough. And I was somewhere in the middle. I wasn't as bad as I'd ever felt, but I was like, okay, today's going to be hard.
You definitely knew it was coming.
Yeah, I'm a little tired. So, like on a mountain bike or a road bike, you shift into an easier gear. That's what I do on the uphills. I increase my cadence. I try to pump my arms a little bit more to help me get up.
Getting that lift.
Yep, and just shorten your stride and just take your time. Like, there's no reason to push uphill because you just need to get up it. Just climb it. And try to stay like within your breath and all that.
Well stated.
And then when you get to the top, when you're at the very top level, you do like 2 or 3 striders. So you open your stride up. It's not a sprint, but it's a little bit of an acceleration. You just open your hips up. And Ryan Hall, who's like a great American distance runner, he said that's how you get your pace back. And so I've always done that ever since learning it. And then on the downhill, you just kind of let it roll and be
cruise
smooth.
Control down. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So
let the system recover.
So nothing fell apart, but it was a struggle, and I started having to dig and be strong. Probably by mile 18 or 20, it was a tremendous effort to focus and maintain, because like everything in your body's screaming, don't keep this pace. Like, why are you doing this still? I want you to walk.
And this is where, with last episode, we were talking about, like, when we first set in and we started talking about the mental aspect of running. This is the mental part where it comes in, right? When the system is saying we have a problem, we have a failure, right? The brain is checking in and saying, no, we've got this under control. We've done this. We're accustomed to this. Let's keep going through, and it can overcome the system, right?
Yeah.
Please keep going.
Well, you can try. I mean, so what we're talking about right now with the brain is, it's called the central governor, and we all have central governors when you're doing any kind of cardio, and it's very conservative. So it's going to try to tell you you're too hot, you're out of breath, I don't have enough oxygen. It literally the signal from your brain to your muscles will be limited by this
Ah,
subconscious
okay.
governor.
So it is a
So
brain governing
yeah,
function. Okay. I
yeah,
apologize. Let
just
me withdraw on that aspect.
yeah. So it's not true, because if at any point a bear ran out, you would sprint like superpower. You'd be all power, all systems go, and you could run as hard as imaginable with adrenaline and all that. So whenever you're running and you're like, I can't go any faster, and I'm giving it all I've got, like that's really you just kind of being whiny and not knowing that your governor is just limiting you. So a lot of what training is like, the reason I get out there and do a big structured plan is I want to bump into this governor. I want to bump into where it says enough's enough. You need to slow down. And it's almost like you're befriending it, saying like, hi, it's actually okay. I'm not gonna die, and you need to chill. And so you have to figure out a way to make your governor, your limit, a hair further out from where it currently is. And then that way in races, you can say, okay, we've been here. We know what's going on. Keep going, keep going. So
You're making
that
friends
happened
with
to
the
me.
boogeyman. Like, hey,
Yeah,
how's it going, man? What's up?
it happened. And some people say befriending the pain. That's a
Yep.
shorter way of saying it.
Yep.
Like it hurt, and then you just kind of get used to hurting, and then you just say, okay, this is part of clocking in,
Yeah.
part of the job. Um, so yeah, it kicked in. It was rough, and I was like, man, I've told all these people 250. I have a news article about what I'm going for, because I was really like up against the ropes by the time I hit 21 or so, 22. I was like, man, I have so much farther to go, but I've got to stay strong for you guys. And so I kept my head in the game. A couple weird things happened. Well, it did deluge, like humongous big drops falling harder than in the shower. So just immediately your whole top, everything is drenched. Your socks and shoes are heavy and wet. So as soon as my shoes got heavy, it was like, oh, come on, I'm already toast. I already am like resistance and fatigued, and my endurance is just at the bitter edge. And then I get bricks for feet, and I'm like, okay, let's go. Um, so I just kept pushing. I did tricks like swinging your arms extra hard, and it did work. It got me to 2 miles to go, and 2 miles to go. Some people say like you can smell the barn, or you get like kind of a second wind or excited because all your efforts are about to pay off. You're almost there. Somehow the central governor like lifts because of excitement and adrenaline on the day. And at Boston, your last thing you have to do is run down under a road. So you go down, it's like an underpass where you go underneath and you have to come back out. And
Right.
it's a pretty hard climb because of how tired you are at 25 plus miles. And then you take a right on Hereford and a left on Boylston. And when you turn left on Boylston, you have 600 meters to go, and it's crowds just lining the sides. And it's not the loudest point on the course, because I have to tell you about the Screaming Tunnel next, but it definitely sounds like you're in a stadium where people are screaming that loud on both sides, and the sound waves are reverberating off the glass and the downtown. It's amazing.
Yeah,
And
you're
so
getting that
I was
energy.
running as hard as I could, and I had my thumbs like in my hand because they were cold. But my thumbs felt like 3 times the size of normal. It was weird, and I kind of was losing track of where I was at. I wasn't blacking out, but I had pushed so far into the pain cave that I was like having to disconnect from what my body was trying to tell me. Like the systems check, I was just checking out,
Wow,
and
you're failing.
yeah, and I got it done, and was glad to do it.
Okay, so what? When you actually experienced that, you said 600 meters.
Mm-hmm.
That's when things were like, we're done.
I mean, if you just look at the finishing video of people, there's some pretty crazy gait cycles. People are like hobbling and limping and slinging their body all over the
Well,
place because they're out
yeah,
of gas.
that's what I was pulling up. I'm gonna share my screen because I was pulling up the link that you shared with me.
Oh yeah.
Um, bear with me.
Was it the rain?
Yeah, well, it was the link you sent me of the finishing line. So I'm gonna pull it on the side here and share it. Okay, so you finished up. The final time was a 2:52. You said.
Yeah, 2:52:20, which I think is 17:40 under my qualifying standard. So I'm like 17 minutes in the green for going back next year. So that's great. Yeah. Oh, dude, that was probably mile.
Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
Oh, sick. Okay, cool. Because I wasn't sure if I'd need to share with you. Awesome.
No, it's good. I can see people running along. And then these are red bibs. So the red bibs are the quick people and some water tables. Now this is thinned out. This is real near the finish. And this is about as thin as it gets for these guys. When I came through, there were twice that amount of people, just because these people are probably in the 35, 40 finishing time.
So these are the water stations. There's a perfect corner that you were talking about earlier where you're trying to clip.
Citgo?
Pardon?
That Citgo sign is famous. That's 1 mile to go.
Okay. Okay, so this is, how much time would you say at 600 meters? How long does it take you to cover 600 meters?
A minute 30 to a minute 50.
Gotcha. Okay. So literally the 250 mark, you're tapping out. You're starting to have this disconnect and you got to run for another, say, 2 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Bro.
Yeah. It was epic. And, you know, I was thinking about my wife a lot, and I was thinking, I hope she's having a good race. I can't believe she's just behind me a little bit at this point. Praying over her and hoping she wasn't, you know, going to get too cold, because she was worried about her hamstring and she didn't get to train as much as she would have liked. But come to find out later, it was a perfect day. She was all smiles. And we looked at our splits, and she roughly was 2 minutes behind me on every mile, but about the same, you know what I mean? Like I went quick here and I took it easy here. And like she just basically did the same race, but at her current fitness level, which was beautiful.
That's awesome, dude. Wow.
Yep.
What an amazing, so it was an amazing opportunity.
It was just beautiful. I mean, we're going to talk about this forever. Like, hey, you remember that year we did Boston together? I mean, it's rare for one person to ever do Boston, but for a couple. So I'm so proud of her. And I said in the article too, I was like, I am more excited about her running her first Boston than I am about me achieving my goals. That was like one of the quotes.
Yeah.
And it's true. Like there's nothing like your first time there.
Yeah. That's fantastic, man. I'm super, super proud of you. So we've got you got to be out of here in 18 minutes, right?
Yeah, I got 18 easy minutes, whatever you want to talk about. I was actually going to ask you to tell me how you found out about the true nature of the world, because that's a unique journey for anyone, and I've never heard yours.
Thanks for asking. I appreciate it. I went to school for architecture. Wow. So architectural technology is what I went to school for. Grade 10 drafting was my elective in high school. My counselor suggested that I take it. I had no interest, nowhere I wanted to go within, path, but she suggested I check out drafting, and I did. And within like the first week of school, I was like, hey, I want to do this for the rest of my life. So it's been working with the building code, right? I have scripture, which is my Bible, right? And my secondary Bible is the building code and what things are built by. And I've always honored the principle of level, right? Level exists, period. That's the first thing, you make the sign of the cross for folk who, are religious. For me, I honor the principle of level. So level exists everywhere we go. Every single building that gets built with tipping its hat to level. So for me, I've always known about the principle of level. So then how does that interact with a ball? That's just a question I can openly ask, and I just like to hear the answers that come back. So for me, again, that level of principle exists, and that's existed since I was 15, 16. Right. Now what's brought me full circle back to where I am now has been Ron Wyatt's work, him discovering Noah's Ark, and then me being able to look at the physical description of Noah's Ark, realizing that it was so literal in the
Mm-hmm.
description, build the ark 300 cubits in length, 515 feet. This is what was found in the hills of Ararat, Turkey, as described in Genesis. And so then I went back, right? We're in the same chapter. I went back to the original creation 7-day story, realized that this thing was created on the second day called the firmament, and realized that, hey, this firmament thing is actually, it's on point. It makes sense. It's the containment unit for the gas pressure that we exist within, the air pocket, the bubble, right? And those waters were there first, and then the land came in following. Right? The land is the land. Period. However you choose to engage with it, you call it as such. You want to level it? Go ahead and level it. But the land came after the water. So yeah, the realizing what the firmament was my full, like, where I came right back to the tippy top. Notable points of worthy engagement to note. Throwing the ball around with Mark Sargent. And just to take the idea of flat and confirm the quote flat aspect of it, and then realizing obviously there's more to it than just saying flat earth, right? It's a trigger term for people at this point, but realizing, as you said earlier in the interview when we were chatting, true earth, right? Understanding the essence of true earth and how that fits within your understanding of quote flat earth. I did come across the flying pizza in space though. That was one of my stops along the journey. That was a rough one, because I thought about comets and flying rocks and how that would interact with a flying pizza in space, but I threw that one out.
Yeah, I'm glad you got over that hurdle, man. There's so many debunking, and I told the folks that I was talking to, I was like, if you Google this, you're gonna get nothing but propaganda and hit pieces to make this look stupid and point you right back onto the main narrative. I said, and isn't that ironic? Like, if flat Earth was as silly as the Easter Bunny or as fictitious as Santa, why the need for such a push to hide it and push it down? And they were like, oh, that's a good point. Maybe later they'll be like, why are they hiding this? And I did drop you will not find any images of satellites in space that aren't CGI, and same thing with the Earth. For the most part, the photos are strips of data stitched together. You might have a single picture of a painting, but I was like, just look at that, and they're like, okay, well, that's awesome, dude. That I didn't know that you were in the industry, and it makes me think of what was his name, Mullins, who is a structural engineer that did he did that series, Balls Out Physics.
Okay.
Did you ever watch
No,
that?
Please.
I'll send you the playlist.
Okay.
So he's a structural engineer, and he was doing all these videos about planes and how they fly and like how does this work and questions about that. And he was using math. And it's funny, people have nitpicked his arguments or his questions and said, well, he was not doing the math right, but his questions were really, really good questions.
That's awesome.
He essentially took his YouTube page down. And I think I don't know this for sure, but I think he was told, if you don't stop, you're not going to have a job in this industry. And so he kind of ceased and assisted, but I'm pretty sure he's still a true earther, because once you see it, you don't go back to the ball. Yeah,
and that's the big thing. I have images of the moon posted up in my cubicle. I have the speed of the moon and the sun posted up in my cubicle at the office. People know about it because I openly talk about it, because again, very much from the Socratic method, I'm asking a question. I'm making a statement, and I'm asking an open-ended question, and you can engage with it any way, shape, or form, but it's literally a question that's just openly asked, that if you have all these multiple points of level that exist, how does a curve show up and interact with that? And I'm not asking for a definition of curve or level, which introduces the word curve. I'm talking about an actual tool, an 8-foot level, a 6-foot level, a 4-foot level that you can slap on any kitchen counter and observe level no matter where you are, right? So that becomes a problem when it's asked nothing more than from a place of innocence, strictly. Right? It's like, I have a further question. You got that kid in the back of the class who puts up his hand and the teacher's like, oh no, not you again. Yeah, exactly. How come?
I had a question, just picking your brain on this.
Yeah, please.
I'm pretty sure that there are high end levels that are set to particular tolerances that are like, it'll show a human hair or half a human hair difference. And I think that they have to be calibrated professionally on a massive slab of aluminum or something. But then the question is, if these things are calibrated to level and they're perfect and they ship them all out over the world, wouldn't they be off if they sent them around the curve?
Yeah,
I guess.
If you're talking about like an actual tool that measures level, yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, I think that the main thing that we observe with, and I'm just talking about the dynamic of an actual level that we can buy at a hardware store. It's the mixtures of two mediums, right, within a containment unit. So you have the green water, you have the two black lines for the conformation, and then you have the air bubble itself, right? And we can always think about when we see that air bubble that's literally the firmament, just a soft version of the firmament, right? Because we exist within that little air bubble itself. Any case, you've got that containment unit, right? Tube, the green liquid, and then you have the air bubble itself. And that is something that is locally observing level. And that is something that is constant to wherever it's being applied to and used. But with respects to your observation, I don't know if something calibrated to a certain degree in certain conditions. Who knows how that even the atmospheric pressure can impact the definitely even elevation.
Funny about all this talk of level. Tomorrow is Flat Earth Day, and Hibbler's Next Level movie is coming out.
Is it tomorrow?
Tomorrow,
bro.
That's what's so cool about all that we're talking about. Is
dude,
like we're teeing up. That
these few days have been like ever since Easter. Just on a selfish level, on a selfish level, I'll take that one. It's been amazing to sit back and witness the magnificence, like you running with the Boston with wifey. It's been awesome, dude. It's been a lot of awesome stuff that's been happening. I want to book you for part 3 because we have two things that we have to discuss. Which is the morning sun. And then that other secondary topic that I messaged you about I can't recall off the top of my dome right now.
That sounds good.
But what's your availability like? I don't want to impose obviously on your family time. I really enjoy these midday conversations, and so I don't know if you're available over the weekend, but whenever you are available, message me, let me know. I'd love to set something up with you.
Definitely. I love chatting with you. It's always rich.
Yeah, I appreciate you so very much, Boston. It's been a pleasure. I'm so very glad that things have that the Boston running was awesome for you and wifey.
Man, it's so cool.
Well done.
I hope you have a really blessed day, man. Thanks for hanging out with me and hearing the story. And I don't think Becky's gonna go back next year, but she'll go again. She will go again.
That's awesome. Have a wonderful day, brother. Be well. We'll connect very soon. Have an amazing day.
Thanks a lot. Peace y'all.
Man.
Stay level.
Well. Take care, buddy. Stay level. Damn right.